If you know anything about FNAF and like any of the lore, any of the story stuff, they did it just as I thought. I thought they did a good job with it.
They did say that this is not made for the mass media. This is made for the fans of the game. So, but I texted Sweet Mama D a picture because you said brought up haunted houses. I said a haunted house, but it's filled with children telling you about Roblox.
God, that's my house.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Horse. This is episode 595. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend, and he's also annoyed because I was late, Alex.
Well, can you really blame me? I'm, trying to watch some scary movies in the weekend before Halloween, and you gotta make us wait to record this podcast because you're late home from work.
Well, all right. To be fair, okay, here. Good. I'm going to defend myself here a second. We are recording a day early. We are recording a day early because tomorrow is Sweet Mama D's birthday, and I can't record tomorrow. I didn't want to miss a show, so we had to do it on Saturday, which I understand could be annoying to my brethren, but they all love me enough to do this for me, so I appreciate it. He's my brother from another mother. He's coming out of retirement for one time only. It's Darrell. How you doing, sir?
Acknowledge me. I podcast more than Roman Reigns defends his championship.
Speaking of which, did you watch SmackDown last night?
I watched the highlights.
Bro, yeah. That cut in by LA Knight was flipping great.
Dude, not only was that great, but then when he pulled out the old suffering succotash promo, it was one of the cringiest promos when Roman was learning how to talk, and he freaking made fun of him the same way he got Kevin Nash not too long ago. Dude's on fire on the mic, man. If they squash him at Crown Jewel, it's just such wasted potential. But if he wins at Crown Jewel, what a waste for Cody Rhodes.
I don't know if it's gonna be a squash, but he's gonna lose. I don't know if it's gonna be a squash because they can't squash him. They just can't do that.
I mean, the only way
they can, but
the thing is Roman hasn't won clean in so long. Like, it's kind of like, okay, well, he's gonna win. He's gonna have help. It's gonna be lame. I'm so done with the bloodline. I was done with the bloodline since day one. So like, I'm so over this crap, man. I'm just ready for Mania 40 to come. Cody to finish the story. I don't care who he finishes the story against either at this point. I just need the story finished. I just need Reigns to go away.
Well,
and
the rumor is they're bringing up the Rock's daughter.
Whose daughter?
Rock's daughter.
But didn't she just get let go from NXT?
No, that was a rumor. It confirmed it. She wasn't.
So like, quote unquote, let go, and then they'll bring her to the main roster.
The same thing that the big rumor is the guy behind the mask at AEW is CM Punk.
You know what, man? I really wouldn't mind seeing CM Punk go to TNA. Like, and I hate CM Punk with a burning passion, and when CM Punk's on TV, I turn it.
Don't say that, Alex. Alex will get on you.
I don't care. There ain't a thing. There is nothing redeemable about CM Puke. You can't change my mind. Like, that is a cancerous human being. The things that he says on and off the mic are just awful. Like, it's just like, I want to take a bath when CM Punk is on the screen. He looks gross. That when he speaks, it rakes my nerves. Like, I can't think of a more detestable human being other than Cardi B. And it's real close. Real close.
So I'll just say that towards the end of his time at AEW, CM Punk was still if not the number one merch seller, one of the top merch sellers, and even people who hate him still talk about him. So
he still is. He still is. Like he still has weeks where he outsells everyone, and he's gone. And don't get me wrong, like that dude, for whatever reason, and I don't understand it, because I mean, I'm speaking about him now, so he works. It's just that like he's hated no matter what he does for me. Like he can, dude. The only time I've ever walked out of a WWE event live, okay, was him and Alberto Del Rio in 2012 here in Columbia, South Carolina. I was like, no, this is during the Hall of Pain run for Mark Henry. I'm like, I'm all about some Mark Henry, okay? And
Mark Henry's a big fan of CM Punk.
Yeah, well, Mark Henry's also had a few too many chair shots. So here's the thing. So main event is Del Rio, which I can't stand, and CM Punk. And I'm like, oh, what's that? It's time to get. We're going to beat the traffic today. And then I got a freaking phone call from a buddy of mine saying Mark Henry came out, he had a dark match at the end of the thing or whatever. And I was like, man, that sucks. But you know what? It's still, I wouldn't go see Mark Henry if I had to sit through CM Punk. I can't stand him. I didn't like him I didn't even like him before he was in WWE. I'm just something about him. It's like kind of like a cockroach. You know what I'm saying? Like you see one, you're just like, bro, that's gross. I feel dirty. You're nasty. That's CM Punk.
You know, I updated everybody's trophies on the PSN profiles, but I didn't update mine.
No, slack.
That's why I'm delaying this a little bit. Yeah, well, the whole CM Punk thing was there's because they've been hinting a lot lately, and they used the line, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was proving the world he didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, that could be the storyline, is like CM Punk doesn't exist in AEW, so you'll never see that coming.
Well, Let's be real, they need him, because Edge has gotten them, or I should say Adam Copeland has gotten them YouTube views. He ain't done shit for their TV, so, and their ticket sales. So
I don't want CM Punk to be in the wrestling that I consume, but there is no denying that he brings out the worst in people. They have to watch it. The people that are foolish enough to like him,
it's
they
like
have to watch it.
It's a train wreck you have to watch.
Yes, it's like reality TV. It's like I just want this to go away, but for whatever reason, I haven't turned the channel yet. So, like, I want him to be there because I want AEW to be successful. And if he's going to continue to be a douchebag and misbehave everywhere he goes, well, then he needs to misbehave in TNA, pop them up a few notches, sell some merch over there, and get some more heads looking back at TNA, especially with them going back to their original name. And he had a TNA run a long time ago. So I think it would be cool. It's a double-edged sword because I'm glad he was gone. I'm like, of course he went and smacked Luke Perry's son because he's a douche. But then again, it's like, well, that douchebag really put some eyes on a product that I enjoy. So it's kind of like, nah.
I would like to remind everybody that the whole thing between CM Punk and Jack Perry is because Jack Perry wanted to use glass, real glass, in wrestling, and many people backstage said, no, don't do that, even including Tony Schiavone, and they went to CM Punk and said, can you please talk to him? And he told him, no, don't do that, it's unsafe, and then Jack Perry had a meltdown about shit.
Hey, here's the thing.
That is the entire reason that this all started. So if CM Punk wanted out there, I don't fucking blame him, 100%, and I will remind everyone that WWE said, we're not talking to CM Punk. They said the same thing about Cody Rhodes.
Here's the thing. There's all kinds of conversations that happen backstage that don't end with some giant freaking egotistic baby swinging on people. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have a fight in UFC? Do you have a fight in WWE backstage? No, it's only in AEW.
Well, that's also all around the same person constantly. So I think that, yeah, sure, AEW does lack some professionalism and does allow an environment, a very old school WCW kind of feel to it, where it seems like the inmates are running the asylum a bit. But also, when you have a cancerous human being like that, where he continues to allow himself to be cancerous, I mean, that's just what you're going to get. So, dude sucks, period.
We might want to move on because Darrell and I are never going to see eye to eye on this, so...
Oh, I love talking. I love talking about how much I can't stand CM Punk, and I'm sure he loves it too because it just means that his cancer is seeping through my body and it's killing me from the inside.
He's fucking rich. The joke's
He is
on
rich.
everyone else who hates him
He
because
is
he's
rich.
fucking rich and he doesn't care.
And you know what? And the world's not fair for that reason right there.
Let's do our
Cancer
updated trophy
exists, and
counts.
so does CM Punk.
I am level 895 total trophies of 29,402 with 817 platinums. Alex.
I am waiting for this to update. Where's my agenda?
You have the agenda.
Do I?
Yes.
Well, this is me getting back at you for making us late recording the podcast. I am level 496 with a total trophy count of 9,456 and a platinum count of 162 and 161 games.
Matt is level 218, total trophies of 1279 with 0 platinums. Sid is level 876 with 25,892 and 816 platinums. Darrell, what's your trophy count, sir?
I am a level 719 with a total trophy count of 18,633 with a platinum count of 412. And I have a brand new shiny platinum from about 1 o'clock this morning.
What's that? As you your mic to sneeze.
We'll get to there. Now, I want to talk about the game a little bit, so when we get to it, I'll tell you about it.
Well, how about you start us off with what we're playing?
I would absolutely love to. So I've been playing a very small amount of games. Life has been very, very busy since my podcast retirement. I have been priming a few games for the inevitable GTTSC trophy competition for next year. So there's several games that I've played a little bit, and I've gotten them all the way up to the last trophy. I'm just going to sit and wait and pop the platinum next year, which has cost me some ranks in the annual trophy event. But, kind of thinking about next year, knowing that I'm going to have difficulties playing every week and playing consistently, I'm thinking if I plan ahead now, I won't anchor my team down. So Prototype 2 on PS3 and PS4, I've primed those to the last 1 to 2 trophies between the two of them. Absolute amazing game. It is, in fact, Venom, the video game. It is Carnage, the video game. Not the greatest story ever told, but just fun to play, fun to just absolutely lay waste to everybody. I enjoyed it on the Xbox 360 and PS3 years ago. Was getting up early in the morning and just kind of killing a little bit of time while the kids were getting ready for school. Played a few missions here and there, stayed up real late at night, played a few missions here and there. Before you know it, I beat the game and I was primed for the plat. So I just kind of, worked my way up through some of those miscellaneous trophies and got it sitting ready to go. I've been playing a little bit of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on PS3. I've said this on the show before. I stage consoles around the house so that wherever I find myself with like a little window of time, I might get a little bit of gaming in. And I keep a PS3 in my bedroom. My wife goes to sleep late at night and I'm sitting there stressed out, not able to wind down. Put a little bit of PlayStation on and it puts me right to sleep. I don't understand why. It's like I finally get the game, boom, I'm out. But mission by mission, been chipping away. That game surprisingly still looks really amazing on the PS3. I'm a little blown away, actually, at how good that game still looks. But Spider-Man 2, the kids and I have been playing a little bit of Spider-Man 2. We didn't really get to play this week, so we played a little bit before we recorded, just because this was a really crazy week for us. And no spoilers, but good God, this game is good. Like, I really enjoyed the first one, and I really enjoyed Miles Morales. I've platinumed both versions of each. Man, I thought it was going to be more of the same. And I am so pleasantly surprised at how much better this game is. Now, formula-wise, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's still Spider-Man and the bones are still the same. But the story, boss battles, all that stuff, it is phenomenal. The combat has ratcheted up. I would argue this game is much harder than the original ones. But man, it's me and my boys, and we're passing the controller around, having an absolute blast. Like, just so many OMG moments, so many, I can't believe that just happened. Now, to be fair, we are a huge Spider-Man family. Like, my boys just grew up loving Spider-Man. My 8-year-old son, his whole life, his gamer tag is Spider Pack. So his room is decorated in Spider-Man. Like, the kid just loves Spider-Man. So we watch all the cartoons. We've watched all the movies together. So Spider-Man's a big deal. So it really hits for us. And then this particular game grabs so much of our favorite Spider-Man lore and uses it. It's really good. Really, really good. If you're on the fence about it, or if you started it, I know, Tricky, you're getting ready to do Extra Life, man. And I think that that is the perfect time for you to get in and then just play for a long, consistent, point of time. You get to enjoy so much of it without breaks. And that's just, because it's one of those games where I don't want to put it down, but, we got to do life. So super excited about that. And the last thing, and my newly minted platinum, is a game called Gray Skies, a War of the Worlds story. Have any of you guys heard of this before?
It may have been something I've seen on the PlayStation Network as I've been passing through all the games, but I've not played it.
I believe it's on sale right now for like $3, something like that. There's a sequel too called Darker Skies. Have you guys watched the War of the World movie?
It's been years, but yeah, I did watch it when it was out.
I bought this game when it first came out on PlayStation 4 years ago, and it is a third-person stealth sci-fi horror game. And so, okay, right there, all of my favorite trigger words. And it's in the War of the Worlds universe. I thought the movie was pretty cool. I never read any of the books, but there's something about that giant, three-legged alien machine thing just shooting lasers and abducting people that I thought was just really cool. So I get the game and I play through, I don't know, the first hour or so of it, and you beat the opening section and it's like, okay, this is pretty neat. Really, really strong soundtrack. Like there's sections of the game where the sound is really, really good. The soundtrack specifically, the songs being played, very Kojima-esque, you know what I'm saying? Like a certain style of music over a sequence that just really pairs well together. And it's like, man, this is cool. But you can tell it's done on a budget, and it is the purest example of Eurojank. Ever. It is textbook Eurojank. So, it looks good, but certain things you can tell, okay, they save some cost with the eyes. The eyes look very dead and very dollish, but everything around it looks really good. No real facial animations, boundaries you get a little stuck on from time to time. And so, excuse me, it's a decent game, but it's got some issues. And I love that kind of stuff. B movies, B tier games. I don't know why I'm so attracted to things that are just not great, but they're trying, and they typically do things that are a little bit different that just really capture my attention. So this game is hard as nuts. I get to the stealth sections where you have enemy encounters, and I died, and I died, and I died. And I'm like, man, I'm not good at this. It got to the point where I was so frustrated, I deleted the game and I was like, you know what? Screw this game. Too much Eurojank. But here I am years later, and I see Darker Skies is on sale on the PlayStation Network. So I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll maybe this one's better. I look up the trophy guide. Trophy guide seems like it's pretty straightforward. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and download Gray Skies again and try it. I find a trophy guide for it that I was like, man, this game, I remember playing this game for an hour or two and not getting really anywhere. There's a whole walkthrough that you can be done in an hour and 40 minutes. So it took me a couple nights just being real late at night playing small sections or whatever. But I did. I followed the walkthrough where you can kind of mainline stuff and you can dodge a lot of the enemies without having to battle them, which was the smartest way to play the game. And it's really good. You really get to experience a lot of the tension in some of the forced encounters, and the atmosphere is really strong. So I highly recommend play Gray Skies, but if you don't follow the walkthrough, at least look at it and get an idea of okay, here's the strategies to get past things to make it not suck. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I stayed up super late last night to finish it off, and the walkthrough shows you how to avoid 2 playthroughs, which I completely wouldn't have done on my own. I would have played very, very poorly because, you get frustrated because you die. I'm like, oh, I need this, this, and this. No, this game was like save all of your XP minus one little section that you upgrade all the way to about 3/4 in the game. Upgrade completely, pop the trophy, restart that checkpoint, upgrade the opposite direction, and then pop the other trophy so you save yourself a playthrough. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I think I like it more than most people in the world like this game. And it only took me, according to PSN profiles, 2 years and 7 months to finish it.
I think the sci-fi and horror genres of movies and television and games are the only genre that can get away with like terrible movies with bad visuals, like bad CGI and all that stuff, and get away with it, like even if it's not like, if it's janked, like you said, people will still look past it because, we've all sat up late one night on Sci-Fi or something like that and watched a really shitty like Sharktopus versus Octo Ogre or some
what the fuck
movie
is a
like
Sharktopus?
that. So there is actually a monster called Sharktopus, but
I did not know that.
But yeah, people will watch a lot of crap in the name of horror and sci-fi.
Yep, me.
I believe you. Quickly before everybody, sorry, my computer decided to do a Windows update and forced me to reboot, so the stream is back up. Sorry for everybody. And just
I was wondering because I saw it freeze on my phone. I'm like, oh, I got to exit the app and go back, but I couldn't stop talking to figure out what was wrong.
Yeah. All right, so we're back. I missed part of the conversation. Where are we at, gentlemen?
I just finished what I was playing.
Also, you'll just send us a text message saying his internet just whacked out, so he's out for the rest of the show. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have Yield for the rest of the show. Alex, what have you been playing, sir?
So I took a page out of Yield's book, speaking of Yield, and played a game that's currently on sale. By the time this is over, it's probably not going to be on sale anymore. Or I guess it could be. It could be early November. Maybe double check if you've been wanting to play this game. But Pumpkin Jack. It's a game that Yield played a few years ago and gave me some serious medieval vibes. Not a difficult game. There are 6 levels to it. Most of the trophies are tied to just completing story-related stuff that are automatically popping. And everything else is collectible based. And my first time through, I collected everything but one collectible, so you don't need a guide. They're kind of, if you played a video game before, you can probably find these without much effort. So a pretty easy game. A small development team. So I kind of hate to bring up the argument that like, this game normally costs $30. Would I pay $30 for it? That feels like a bit much, but also you're supporting, a very small development team. So I mean, you want to support the indie devs, but again, this game for $30, just kind of like just a walk in the park. Not a bad thing. Like for the time of the year, it's got the theming for Halloween. Your character's a pumpkin-headed guy working for the devil. And you're fighting against the wizard, who's the champion of humanity. So you're, I guess the way you look at it, you're fighting on the bad side. But I mean, it is. Thematically, I can't say that I would want to play this game any other time of the year, but because it's Halloween, we had a question about this a few weeks ago, but yeah, because of the time of the year, I did enjoy just kind of a nice, easy breezy walk through the park through Pumpkin Jack. And like I said, I've played, medieval within recent years, so the fact that it's so similar to that in tone, in style, and just gameplay, it's enjoyable. Not saying that I would pay $30 for it, but if you catch it on sale, maybe give it a chance. I have also been playing Medieval Resurrection, which I just started today, which I thought it was a new game in the series, but it was really just a PSP version of a PSP port of maybe the original game. It seems like I'm following in the footsteps a lot of the original game, that you can play the PS4 version now. But I mean, look, I fully support, keeping all these old games in libraries and making them accessible to play, but also the game's combat, like the game is super clunky in like every aspect. The camera's terrible, the combat's super clunky, so it's just one of those games that reminds you don't have to go back and play every single game. It's okay, but it's not great control wise, and like I said, it was a PSP game, so it's like somewhat recent. But it's a little rough going back to play it. So again, thematically, it's on point with Halloween, but we're all historians here. We're all for preservation, but just some games just don't. You don't always need to play. But yeah, I did buy also Alan Wake 2. I did not start that yet. I've kind of just been in the mood of playing these short little Halloween, cheeky Halloween games. So I haven't started Alan Wake 2 yet, which is going to be a big undertaking. But once I finish Medieval Resurrection, I will start Alan Wake 2. And that's pretty much all I've been playing, except for Rocket League, doing some Haunted Hallows stuff. But yeah, that's been pretty much it for me this week.
I didn't know Alan Wake came out. Came out yesterday, apparently.
The 27th.
I didn't know that. And the only thing I've been playing all week is I finished up Assassin's Creed Mirage. The ending was rather confusing, but from what I'm hearing, that's because I didn't finish Valhalla, and apparently that makes this ending make a lot more sense. I didn't know that, so I got to go back and play that. But I doubt that I'm going to finish that by Saturday. I'm officially on vacation now, so lead up to Extra Life. We do have some streams coming. I got to talk to Alex and Ashley to see what day they want to stream. Try to set up some other guest streamers. But I'm basically going to be on Twitch all week, as you're hearing this, to get us some traction for Extra Life. And then Saturday morning at 8 a.m., I'm officially starting Spider-Man 2.
So awesome.
I kind of hate myself for doing this every year because I always pick a game that say I'm going to start on Extra Life. And I was like, all right, you know what? This is only a 2-week wait. I can do this. No, this is killing me right now. Especially since it's like I browse TikTok or Facebook and stuff like that. And it's like 5 things you should know about Spider-Man 2 before you start playing. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. This is how you get a trophy. I'm like, just shut up already.
No, you need to go social media blackout until you're ready to play. I haven't seen any. So the things that we saw today, story wise, I had seen no spoilers to this point on, and I'm shocked that this stuff hasn't come out because I hoped these things would be in there, but didn't believe they would be. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool.
I mean, well, talking to Tross, because Tross is a big Spider-Man fan as well. He said that he was disappointed when he watched the launch trailer because one of the reveals was in the launch trailer. But other than that, he says there's like 1 or 2 other major surprises, but there's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Heck yeah, man.
So, and the only other thing I've been playing is The Division, trying to catch up on that. I'm trying to figure out why this is doing that. Oh, there's a line on Twitch. I gotta figure out what the hell that is. We'll figure that out later. That's not a big deal right now. But that's all I've been playing. All right, so let's get into our topics. Coming from IGN. Of course, we don't have Matt this week, so I don't have the Cliff Notes version. So going back to read articles. This is from IGN, written by Wesley Wienpool. Spider-Man 2 is the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game. Inside Mike's PlayStation 5 exclusive sold through more than 2.5 million copies in 24 hours, Sony revealed. That figure includes pre-order sales of individual units and units bundled with the PS5. The sales milestone means Spider-Man 2 has overtaken Sony Santa Monica's God of War Ragnarok as the top of the PlayStation Day 1 launch sales chart. Insomniac holds itself to incredibly high standards when it comes to delivering engaging, innovative gameplay experiences, said Eric Lempel, Senior Vice President of Global Marketing, Sales, and Business Operations, Sony Interactive Entertainment. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is Insomniac's 3rd installment in the franchise for the PlayStation. Built from the ground up to take advantage of the unique features of the PlayStation 5, the goal was to massively build off the action storylines and features from the first 2 games. With an epic storyline, 2 playable superheroes, a visually stunning Marvel's New York, and so much more. Ooh, I hate when it does that. Then it pops up like, so much more.
Gotta get that money.
So much more. This is a game you can get lost in for hours. On behalf of Sony Interactive Entertainment, I want to say thank you to the fans, and we truly hope you're enjoying your time playing this Peter and Miles in this amazing adventure. And just for reference, God of War Ragnarok debut week had 5.1 million copies, and we don't have the official week. We just have launch day right now. And that also sold on the 4 and the 5 as well. So, it'd be impressive if they can catch that number just on the 5 alone. Darrell, you already spoke on Spider-Man 2. Alex, let's get your opinions on the fastest selling Sony Studios game.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show how important Insomniac Games is to Sony right now. There is some turmoil at Sony. Some projects are up in the air, but when it comes down to it, when we're looking at the PlayStation 5, yeah, Guerrilla did Horizon Forbidden West, which was a huge success, and we had stuff like Returnal here and there, but really the go-to studio for Sony this time around has not been Naughty Dog, it's been Insomniac. Without Insomniac and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and the 3 Spider-Man games over the last 2 generations, Sony's lineup isn't looking nearly as good, and so hopefully they're dumping more resources into Insomniac, and with all the layoffs that have come around the landscape of the industry, there seems to be no safer place right now than Insomniac Games. So hopefully that company is getting not just the resources they need, well, they obviously are, but they're being rewarded for the tremendous success, because Sony really has relied on them tremendously. I don't think you can look at even Nintendo and Microsoft and say that either one of those 2 companies have relied on a game studio as much as Sony has relied on Insomniac. So, and Matt, I'll quote Matt by saying that he mentioned this either last episode or the week before. Insomniac doesn't know how to make a bad game, and this is just kind of more credence to that.
Darrell, your comments?
I agree. I mean, I would like to. I'm losing my voice. See, I'm getting choked up. All right. I was getting ready to pay homage to the man himself. Good old franchise. Worldwide, Jimmy Ryan, he who makes us whole. Because I do not believe Sony would have Insomniac if it weren't for Jimmy Ryan. I do not believe that Insomniac's output would be what it is if, in fact, it wasn't for the franchise. Worldwide, Jimmy Ryan.
I don't even know if you believe your own bullshit at this point.
I think we should all just take a moment to give our thanks for Jimmy Ryan, because he brought us the best of Insomniac. Insomniac's always been a hit studio. They've always been great. I was scared. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I get scared every now and again. I was scared when Insomniac started flirting with Disaster and making an Xbox game, because I'm like, bro, that's the home team. Sure, they're not part of the family yet, but that's as close to a Sony studio you can be without being a Sony studio. And then whenever good old franchise, worldwide, Jimmy Ryan, he who makes us whole, brokered the deal to get us Insomniac.
Wait, hold on. Insomniac was purchased in 2019. He became CEO in 2019, but do we know he actually for a fact?
Why do you think that is, Alex? Do you think he became CEO because he was just great at marketing? Alex, no, he got us Insomniac.
Alex, let me give you just some advice with Darrell. Just let him spout off on his bullshit.
No, because if we don't have
you
proof,
don't get to be CEO because you just sat around looking pretty. I mean, come on. I mean, unless you're Sarah Bond.
Well, it seems like Sony really regrets that decision now.
Do they?
Yeah.
The most profitable they've been our entire time as PlayStation fans, having the most successful console launch during a global pandemic.
The PS5 was not more successful than the PS2.
I don't know. I think you should go back and look at it. Was the PS2 under supply constraints? Was the PS2 coming out during a global pandemic? I don't think it was.
Yeah, you can't call it the most successful launch under a global pandemic. Where there was only one console in that scenario.
I can call it the greatest, console launch with the number 5 attached to it. But here's the thing: Jimmy Ryan made it possible.
It's a great launch with a 5 attached to it.
The PlayStation 5 is the fastest selling console in this category, where it's the only runner.
First place is first place. If you're not first, you're last. That's
My God.
The prophet once said that. All I'm saying is this: Insomniac is the hit studio right now. They are the go-to. Like Naughty Dog, I think set the bar, right? And the thing that I love about PlayStation, and I'm gonna turn the Jimmy Ryan down for a minute, but only a minute. The thing I love about PlayStation, being a PlayStation fan, is once that bar is set, it's not like this is it. This is the mountain. We can go no higher. Sony continues to provide an environment, a landscape. Maybe they're just providing the right drinking water. I don't know. But when that bar is set, they increase it. They go higher. They go higher. And I think personally, Sony Studios games have always continued to just get better and better and better and better and better. Sure, there's outliers. But man, I mean, we got The Last of Us 2013. I was like, dude, I don't know that it's going to get better than that. And like the Uncharted combination, Last of Us, all that stuff. And then now all that has done, in my opinion, is set a standard for what everything thereafter should be. And I think as a portfolio, as a whole, man, we just get so many great games. And then to see Insomniac come in to officially be part of the family. Thank you, Jimmy Ryan. And then come out with like hit after hit after hit, man. Like it's a good time to be a PlayStation gamer. It's a good time to be a gamer in general, because right now this year 2023 has just been like banger after banger. But dude, Insomniac is not missing. Now that can't last forever. Okay, historically we know that you can't hit forever. You're gonna have a bad game. You're gonna have a fumbled launch. Like Spider-Man's great. It does have a few bugs. We had some goofy ones happen earlier, so it's not a perfect game. But that studio's quality and it's not even so much just like the way it looks and the way it plays. It is the sheer combination of all those things firing on all four cylinders at the same time. It's good, man. And Insomniac has just blown me away. I loved Spider-Man. I loved Rift Apart. I loved Miles Morales. I love Spider-Man 2. Like I can't freaking wait for Wolverine now. Like seeing what they're doing on screen and that moment to moment just gameplay.
And they just confirmed that Wolverine and Spider-Man are in the same universe.
Which my initial thought on that one was, dang, that sucks, because that means that like Spider-Man has to fit in this pocket where it can only be so adult. Wolverine at its best is R-rated, super bloody, like let the claws come out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the enemies and the villains and the Wolverine lore, like the things that are the best is when you have your Sabretooths, your Death Strikes, you have your Wendigos. Like Wolverine at his best is when things are really primal. And I'm like, man, they've got the flash, they got the aesthetic, they got the looks, they've got the gameplay. It is so solid right now. But like what they're gonna need for Wolverine, in my opinion, especially as a lifelong Wolverine fan, they're gonna need the edge. You know what I'm saying? And dude, no spoilers. Playing Spider-Man, they flirt with the edge. They show you things. They do things that's like, oh, okay. I see why you did this. I see where you're going with this. And you're going to as far as you can go to get away with it. So I'm super thrilled, man. I think Insomniac is just, they're the crown jewel right now. And the best part about that is, you got Sucker Punch, like after Ghost of Tsushima, man, them guys, I mean, like I already loved Infamous and Ghost of Tsushima. It's like, dude, they could be the next ones to raise the bar. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited. I mean, I know that's a lot of words, you know, but Jimmy Ryan has given me hope, guys. He's inspired me.
I still don't even know if you even believe your own bullshit half the time.
Here's the thing.
Like I know you're passionate, but I think you troll for troll's sake, and you actually don't believe what you say.
It's not troll. I do think that Jimmy Ryan coming out, being a suit, not a creative, and then it just so happens that while the guy who's financially forward, not like a developer first forward, came out, and sure his policies cost us more money, and sure. At face value, it's like, well, wow, I mean, Jimmy Ryan just nickel and dime, you know, whatever. But it's like, The quality bar went up. Like what we've gotten has gone up. Our brand is super profitable and it's super healthy. I mean, those are good things. They're not bad things. I mean, sure, from the big corporate, bad guy stuff, like, yeah, okay, that sucks that, PlayStation Plus went up. But you know what? PlayStation Plus went up. Everything went up. Every subscription service has gone up. So it's kind of like, okay, it's not just, game prices went up. Okay, everybody else finally went up on their games. It's not like there's no one outlier. Like, you guys were complaining the other day about the console going up a little bit because the digital version technically is more expensive. And then if you add the hard drive, the disk drive later, it's more expensive. But you know what? They didn't even do that first. Actually, technically, Xbox 360 did that first, if you really want to get down to adding components and stuff. But the Oculus went up last year, went up a substantial amount. So it's not like that they're operating in a vacuum and they're the only ones going up on their prices. They're just unapologetic about it because they have a figurehead that's like, I'm a bean counter. I'm a bottom line guy. I'm a money guy. And now I have ascended to the top. I've done all I can do. I'm going to go retire. I'm going to enjoy my big 30 plus year bag of cash. And I'm going to let the next guy come in and do their thing. So, and if you look at the timelines, Jimmy Ryan had about the same amount of time as the guys before him in that position. So I don't believe that he's out because he did a bad job.
I do.
And I don't think that you can show me real evidence to support that. And so I do inflate the love for Jimmy Ryan because he's a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a suit.
After it came out that he was resigning, and I'm using air quotes with that, a flood of bad news.
Retiring.
A flood of bad news has come out, including 2 rounds of layoffs after they closed Pixel Opus. But
that's also happening everywhere. Like, that's not a vacuum situation either.
But they've also specifically said that he was really behind the games as a service, and that's been a difficult transition under him. And we have a Naughty Dog project, which the Last of Us multiplayer game, which is on ice. We don't even know if that's still happening. When's the last time Naughty Dog got a game canceled? When?
Okay.
And all these years, they poured millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in that. What's happening with the Horizon MMO? We don't know. So there is no possible way. I mean, Darrell, you can think what you want, but you are talking on a podcast where everyone agrees that dude was pushed out.
I get that, but like, I also disagree because the same things that you guys are clamoring on are also happening industry wide. All of the big studios across the pond over at Xbox just had their waves of layoffs as well. Facebook's had layoffs. Oculus had layoffs. I mean, everyone's laying off right now. Also, historically, this time of year, that kind of stuff does happen. Similar to how right after WrestleMania, WWE always does a dump of layoffs. It's not because WrestleMania was bad. It's just like there is a pattern historically. So, sure, okay, we can say Dude Man retires or announces his retirement, and then we get the wave of seasonal bad news, whatever. Also, I don't know that the games of service stuff initiative was ever going to be successful. Again, not in a vacuum. Look at the landscape. Games of service, everyone's failing on games of service. And it really, the outliers for the games of service initiative are the ones that work. So I think the plan has, and I say the plan loosely because a lot of the stuff that we hear about has never officially announced anyways, with the exception of Factions, and that's because Factions was supposed to ship with Last of Us 2. So the fact that it's been in this developmental hell anyways...
Hold on. I got to clarify. They outright said Factions was not launching with it. They would come later.
It was going to, but then they said it got too big, and they pulled it away.
To make its own separate game.
It was not going to be a separate game.
It got too
initially.
I'm saying it got too big that they decided to make it its own separate game.
But now, okay, so think about this, okay? The Last of Us developmental cycle started years before its launch, which means Factions developmental cycle started then too. Like, if you're looking at things from a booking perspective, okay, that budget, it wasn't like Factions was a new project with a new budget, with a new timeline, with a new plan. No. that money trail started at the beginning of the development with The Last of Us 2. I would probably argue it is somehow tied into the original launch of The Last of Us. I think there's a bigger problem with factions than just Jimmy Ryan's live service initiative. Okay. Now, I'm saying this as the live service guy. Like, I'm not taking up for him. I'm not saying it was ever going to work. And if Jimmy Ryan's legacy is that he started a live service initiative and it failed, well, then it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care. I wasn't going to play those games anyways, you know? And I also don't agree with those games existing. But I play enough games on multiple platforms and I have my ear to the ground. I'm listening to, you know, the Nintendo podcasts and the Xbox podcasts, and I'm listening to the news coming from all different angles. And like, this is not uncommon to everyone else. I just think that the difference is that Jimmy Ryan and his crew have been very unapologetic about things costing more, about making money, and these things were put in place to, you know, be money pits, money, you know, to be the live service. I mean, they're garbage. I don't want to say garbage because some people love them. Like Tricky loves, you know, live service games are meant to be money funnels. They just suck money out of you constantly. And they're meant to be content drips so that you'll continue to pay. You'll stay in the machine, you'll pay and play. So, again, I think they're scummy times of games anyways. So I'm not making excuses for them, nor do I think they should exist. I just don't think it's any different than anything else happening anywhere. And I don't think him leaving when he did is any different than, let's say, the chick from 343 just retiring. You know, with the Halo.
But they also think she was pushed out as well.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? They would never admit that because, you know, pushing out a high-profiled female leader of a studio in today's climate, it looks very, very bad. So, I don't know. I would like to think if she gets a pass, well, then Jimmy Ryan gets a pass.
All right,
it's fair's fair.
We named a lot of companies in this. How many other lost their CEO or are losing their CEO? Oh, Phil Spencer's still at the head of Microsoft Game Studios. Okay, that's right.
For now, until Bobby gets that golden parachute straight to his chair. Y'all think for a second Bobby Kotick ain't taking over Xbox? Y'all are crazy.
Yeah, he ain't taking over. I didn't put it in the agenda because I didn't have a lot of information with it to confirm anything. But Connie Booth, who's been with PlayStation for 34 years, just got confirmed by PlayStation that she's left the company. We're going to talk about that more next week, just because I didn't have any confirmation. I didn't want to do speculation. But I just Googled it, and apparently PlayStation has confirmed she has left the company. So we're going to get into that next
Wasn't the original source for all of this David Jaffe?
Yes, that's why I didn't. There was no like statement from her, no statement from PlayStation. But Sony has confirmed that she has left the company. So we'll get into that next week because
maybe she was pushed out.
That's what David Jaffe said.
David Jaffe.
And look, I'll be the first to admit, I mean, if you don't know David Jaffe, he's the creator of Twisted Metal and God of War, two of PlayStation's biggest.
He's also a psychopath.
Oh, yeah. He comes across as a lunatic, and he has said...
He is a lunatic.
He has said numerous times he's glad to be out of the industry. You know, he got away from video games, but he also... I guarantee still has sources within Sony.
Yes.
Because they
I listen to a podcast that he frequents, and that is a crazy human being. And it's oddly entertaining to listen to him talk.
Right.
To be fair, his first big game was Twisted Metal, where he was on the way to the airport and said, I really wish we had guns and rockets attached to this car so we could just get through this traffic real quick.
All right.
Tells you all you need to know.
Let's put a pin to that. We'll talk about it next week as we get more information. But another controversial thing, this has also come from IGN, written by Amelia Zollner. Earlier this week, Mortal Kombat 1's community was incensed after publisher Warner Brothers Games revealed that it will sell a seasonal fatality for real-world money. Now, this fatality is available in the shop with a confirmed price, and players are up in arms once again, with many vowing to boycott the fatality and some abandon the game entirely because of its cost.
They're buying it. I guarantee most of them are buying it.
They already got it. Halloween fatality was added to Mortal Kombat 1's premium shop for the price of 1,200 Dragon Crystals, which you could buy 1,250 crystals for $10. So a little less than $10.
That's cheaper than I thought.
The move came after players noticed the patch vaguely mentioned a Halloween fatality added to the premium store, which was confirmed by Warner Brothers Games. Now, just to tell you what the fatality is basically you take a pumpkin, you throw it on your opponent's head, a bunch of insects and snakes and stuff come out, and basically like start with the assume that they're eating through the flesh and whatnot. Although you don't see that, they go down to their hands and knees, and then you as the player go over and kick the pumpkin, essentially decapitating the person. Pumpkin flies, hits somebody's doorstep, and it's basically like a Halloween themed doorstep. I want to get your thoughts on this, but I want to go first on this one because here's my thing. If you don't want to spend $10 on a fucking fatality, don't spend $10 on the fatality. It doesn't change the game at all. This is just something they said, you know what? This is something unique that we could sell. And, if people want it, here's the price tag. I'm so tired of having people go, I hate microtransactions. The thing with microtransactions is unless they're pay to win, which is predatory on itself, you don't have to fucking buy it.
Yeah, but Tricky, let's be honest. They could have given this out for free as an update. We've gotten bigger stuff for free in other games. If they want to add characters in and sell you characters, people were pissed at Street Fighter for so many years because they were just adding in characters and you had to pay for them. And yet, look how successful Street Fighter still is, and people still love Capcom. But, so I don't have an issue with microtransactions, but at the heart of it, they could have given this for free. This could have been, hey guys, thanks for supporting the game. Happy Halloween. That didn't need to be $10. Let's be honest about that.
Okay, but and I'm with you on that. But what's wrong? What's wrong with the company trying to sell something to make money? Everything can't be just free. And your argument, and I'm not going against you, Alex, personally, but your argument cannot be, well, they could have just gave this to us for free, because companies have to make money.
They do, but I think there's a lot of nickel and diming. I mean, Darrell was just talking about how he hates a lot of games for service games because they just squeeze all the money out of you. There's a lot of nickel and diming going on in the mobile business, in the console business, and the PC business. So, look, I'm not against companies making money. I just spent, $10 to help me buy the Nightmare Before Christmas bundle for Rocket League. If I see value in it, I'll buy it. And I even said I didn't really have a problem with it because they added some free stuff and they added some nice paid content that, if you're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, you love it. You'd love to have it. I didn't even complain about that. I just said I'm fine with it. But with all the nickel and diming going on and just the rise in the price of everything, like something like this, it just could have been something nice they could have given. Like, people have supported Mortal Kombat for so long, they didn't really need to go out and do this. This could have been something for free. It's a fatality. It's like the goal scores in Rocket League. Yes, somebody worked on it, but $20 for those things, it's way too damn much. I will say that I did not pay $20 for the Jack Skellington goal score that we got for the Haunted Hallows. That was only it was only $8, and then the whole pack itself was $20. But you can't tell me that this couldn't have been free. It's just a fatality.
It could all be free, but I mean that's not the point, And I don't think. I'm not buying it. I agree. This stuff costs too freaking much. It's stupid. That being said, somebody out there wanted it. Somebody out there was like, shoot, I got $8. I got $10. I got whatever. And I mean, these people are paying $20 for Fortnite skins that they don't even wear. So I hear a lot of people complaining about this stuff. And I really, what Tricky said resonates so hard with me because it's like, you're not being forced to buy it. And at the minute it becomes, you have to have this to be successful in the game, that is when you got to rip the Band-Aid off and say, this game, I got to get away from this game. Sure, they could have given it for free. They could do a lot of things for free. I don't think that was the reason why they opened their studio. I don't think that's the way they want to make their money, is by giving things for free and hoping that they'll get free money back. I think that, you put things out there to sell it. You discount it heavily when it's not in season, or maybe one day you do. Maybe there is a plan down the road to give it away. I don't know, but I personally don't see anything wrong with having stuff like this. I think it's cool. It's not like they locked, how Mortal Kombat has multiple fatalities per person and their stage fatalities. It's not like they locked fatality number 2 to Sub-Zero behind a paywall. It's like, oh, we created this thing specifically for a season. We'll sell it on those seasons. And if it does good, maybe we'll do Easter. Maybe we'll do Christmas. Maybe we'll do Thanksgiving. Maybe this is a whole chain of things we can do for years on end and come up with crazier and crazier and crazier ones. It seems really like an idea that I would personally pitch sitting around a table. Sometimes in the manufacturing company I used to run, I used to pitch outlandish ideas just for like, here's a dumb, silly, crazy way to make money or whatever, and something that we would do often is like take something that exists and put a design on it. It's the same thing, and then resell it to people. It's like, oh, like, yeah, you already have this, but you don't have this one with the picture on the side. And it's like, it just sparks certain people like, man, I got to have the new thing. I got to have that. And I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I do agree. And just like you were saying, Alex, too, goal scorers and Fortnite skins and this stuff, it's to me, it's crazy overpriced. And I personally think and I'm not, obviously, doesn't matter what I think, because I'm not the bean counter. I'm not doing the math. I'm not making the money. But to me, it's like, man, if they cut all these prices in half, don't think you would hear near the pushback from people. And I would think you would make twice the sales because it would be so much cheaper. But I don't know. Whenever you said it was going to be essentially $10, I'm like, well, that's half of what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say $20 for a pumpkin fatality. So,
all right, moving on.
Well, before we move on, I do want to say the one aspect of this that I do not understand is not playing the game anymore. The game that you paid for,
right.
$70 for to, over the skin. Like, just don't buy the skin. I get it. You're annoyed. You think things cost too much. Just keep playing the game. You already paid for the game, so it's not like you're going to get your money back.
Well, there are people asking for refunds because they're starting to call it a freemium game, even though it's cost $70.
I doubt that this game has any different strategy. I mean, the pumpkin thing may be new, but they have made these Mortal Kombat games for years now, and we know that they're going to be a lot of DLC to them, including characters. Again, just like Street Fighter, so I don't really know why you wouldn't see that coming a mile away. And good luck getting those refunds.
Yeah, for real. And I think we're seeing it, though. It's like slowly but surely it's creeping into every game's becoming freemium. Every game's becoming like the deluxe.
This is the new online
version.
pass. This is just another way of them trying to find a way 100%. To make money after the game's been sold. Now,
you know what, though? I want to piggyback with this, too, because, Alex said, here's Rocket League, a game that he's put hundreds and hundreds of hours in, right? And that's a game that he has a lot of fun playing. He finds a value in it. And it's like, here's things that appeal to me. I'll buy them. And that's my thing. And that is cool. And I'm the same way with Resident Evil. A Resident Evil game comes out and here's a skin pack. Dude, nine times out of 10, the skins kind of suck too. Like, but I'm like, you know what? It's Resident Evil.
But you also played the Division 2 long enough to get the Resident Evil pack.
Correct. Yeah. And on Fortnite, I bought the Resident Evil characters when they did the crossover. I bought Batman. So it's like, there's always that thing that appeals to us. And I think when we read stories like this, these stories are often reported. There is universal backlash. Every single person hated it. Trust me, I checked the internet. But then there's guys like us out there that's like, oh, dude, I love pumpkin dismemberment in video games. I would love to buy that. So I think that a lot of times that these things are a little hyperinflated on, the reaction. Like, there is seriously, everyone on the internet is boycotting this game. No one's playing it anymore. 4 people got on there and tweeted it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think that there's more of us out there buying the things that we like and being quiet than there are people out there truly outraged.
Dex from the chat says, I might be in the minority, but I would buy it. With that being said, I'm a sucker for shit like this. And then Saber says $5 or $1.99 is more reasonable and it's more likely to get people to buy it. When you set a price of $10, you're only going to have people who have, let's say, free income in order to do that. So they would have gotten even the poor people like myself to spend the $2 or $5.
And they will when it's discounted. When you're buying the Halloween finisher on Christmas and it's on sale in the PlayStation Store, that's when they get you. And that's when they get me. I buy DLC for games I don't even play anymore because it's like $2. Why not?
Who knows? Maybe once all the Halloween candy goes on sale the day after Halloween, that's when they're going to kick in the discounts. Like, all right, Halloween's over.
How funny would that be if it really played that way? How fun that would be like, to me. That's like, okay, me, you.
If they put this on a Black Friday sale, there's going to be a fucking outrage.
This is our little boardroom, and it's conversations like that that get crap like this actually put in the. That would be freaking hilarious, man. So that would be awesome. I'll be looking for that.
I will say, I mean, Dex can spend, Dex's money however Dex wants. I'm not going to tell Dex how to spend the money. I think we all have to realize, though, that when we do buy these things for the game that we like, me spending money in Rocket League and stuff like that, we are contributing to this culture in video games where we do see more nickel and diming. So, like, again, I've spent money in live service games. I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money, but we are all contributing to this culture where they are constantly looking for new ways to sell us a cosmetic for guns that we may not even have a great view of, or, something for a character. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're all contributing to it. I mean,
and let's be real for something. Well, Dex says I'm a part of the problem. He says that in the chat. But
again, Dex, I'll say that we're all part of the problem because we all do it.
All right. So I'm going to put it in this, and then we'll move to the next topic. But the reality is, if this wasn't working, they wouldn't keep doing it.
That's right. There's a reason why worldwide Jimmy Ryan
moving on.
He went from the marketing guy to the CEO of the company.
By Wesley Yidpool.
And it's this right here.
Dreams developer.
Yes, I bet you could track the money that he's retiring with to Alex through Rocket League. It's like, oh, Jimmy Ryan gets to retire because of Alex.
Dreams developer.
I'm probably giving more money to Tim Sweeney in Epic Games. That's who's getting all that money.
Dex agrees, the franchise baby. And then Saber says, Elder Scrolls started all these microtransactions. All right. Dreams developer Media Molecule suffered a round of layoffs. They have laid off 20 people.
They only had 21 people there.
They said they've gone from a head count of 135 down to 115. So I take this with a grain of salt. What I'm about to say, that's not that bad. I mean, it says it was redundant employees, not, anybody key.
But it does come after Dreams seemed to sputter out sooner than anyone thought it would.
A message from Media Molecule on Twitter. I'm not saying X. Media Molecule has made significant strategic changes during the past year, including shifting our focus from Dreams to our new project. We've had to make the difficult decision to begin the consultation process for team members within certain departments of the studio. This is a tough moment for the individuals impacted and the studio overall. Every single role that has been put at risk is delivered by someone who has contributed something special to Media Molecule. We will make sure those impacted receive the best support we can provide during this process. We will continue to support Dreams community for the foreseeable future and update future plans at a later time. I'm a little confused about that last part because I thought they shut down everything with Dreams. Like, the servers are going off and everything.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because that was a controversy because we were getting it free for Plus, and everyone's like, did you just announce you were shutting it down?
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to support the Dreams community when they're shutting off the servers. But, sucks. More layoffs. About
friggin' time, though, because they let that studio flounder for a while. Why they didn't just build more games, I don't understand. But you know what? That's some Sean Layden bull crap right there.
That's franchise right there.
That's Sean Layden initiative. That was one of his executive orders before Worldwide got old.
Who had more time in the CEO seat, Sean Layden or Jim Ryan?
I just listened to a breakdown the other day. I think they're about the same.
And just to touch back on David Jaffrey. David Jaffrey said that Sean Layden was walked out of the building. So apparently he was shoved out the door as well. But being shoved out of windows is not something Skull and Bones is able to do. Coming from IGN and written by Rebecca Valentine. Ubisoft's earning days, which means they're due for another update on the 6-time delayed pirate game Skull and Bones. And while the news is not explicitly another delay, the latest update is that we can expect Skull and Bones to launch sometime between January and March of 2024. If you haven't been following the saga of Ubisoft's deeply troubled pirate game, buckle up. Skull and Bones was first announced way back at E3 2017, with a release window set for fall of 2018. It has been delayed a whopping 6 times, with the most recent delay in January of this year, pushing the game allegedly to early 2023-24. It's a bit vague window that could have been anytime this past year or early next year, but at the same time, it seemed to refer to Ubisoft's current ongoing fiscal year, which ends in March. So while hopes aren't high, Ubisoft seems to be targeting a release window that's now once again passed them by. Darrell, do you care about Skull and Bones at this point?
I mean, I don't know that I ever cared about Skull and Bones. I think personally that they are making a game about my least favorite part of Assassin's Creed, and I know that was a big deal for other people, but I personally freaking hated the ship combat stuff in Assassin's Creed 4 and in Rogue. So for me to create an entire game based on the mechanic or the section of the game that I didn't care for meant that it wasn't going to appeal to me. And the fact that it's on its 60th delay, it's in development hell. Just it is what it is. I think this game's going to come out, and even if it's great, all of the news around it is going to sour it. So I just don't think it's going to be a banger. I think it's going to be, if anything, that has the potential to be like Sea of Thieves, like come out and it's troubled, but yet you just continue to support it for 10 years and eventually the player count is higher than Halo Infinite. And it's like, hey.
All right, Alex, before I go to you, it's worth noting that Ubisoft reported net bookings for the quarter, $584 million, up 36.6% over last year, driven by stronger than expected sales, back catalog sales. The Crew Motorfest also had a record launch for the franchise by unit sales, and Assassin's Creed Mirage week 1 player numbers were in line with both Odyssey and Origins. Alex, the floor is yours.
Speaking of Origins, they also did have some ship combat in that, and I will agree with Darrell that it was not my favorite part of that game. I could have done without it, honestly. So having an entire game built around that, well, probably not for me, to be honest with you. I mean, it's admirable that they're determined to get this game out, but with so many delays, it's not like hey, we just need a little bit more time to make this game truly great. It's like, let's see what we can cobble together, to make this directionless fucking game worth anybody's time. So by the time this game comes out, I don't think it's going to get great review scores. It may be decent, but I think that people, just by the number of times it's been delayed, will be skeptical of it, and I think it's dead in the water when it comes out. I just don't think that, because I don't think anyone's going to stop playing Sea of Thieves to go play this, and I honestly don't know that people are going to play this rather than any of the new Assassin's Creed games that are going to follow Mirage. So,
well, to be fair, and I'm not trying to bash anything, Sea of Thieves is Microsoft exclusive. I see this as a PlayStation version of Sea of Thieves for people to play. So I see a lot of people play it on the PlayStation, not so much on the Xbox, to your point.
I mean, yes, I know that it's a rare game, Sea of Thieves is. So obviously it's under the Microsoft Game Studios label. But again, I just don't think even PlayStation owners are going to care about this. I mean, maybe PC. I mean, Sea of Thieves is also on PC, but I don't know.
All right.
I don't think Assassin's Creed fans are just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go play Black Flag. Because when it's part of an Assassin's Creed game, when it's part of that experience, it's probably more enjoyable than when the entire game is built on that.
All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip the next topic in the agenda, and we'll cover it next week.
Let me jump in real quick. I wanted to double back on something real fast. Jack Tretton was the CEO of PlayStation for about 8 years. Sean Layden was there for almost around 5-ish years. And then Jimmy Ryan's going to be there a little over 4 years. So, seems like their 10 years are getting slower, or smaller. But then again, the business has gotten so much bigger. But both Sean Layden was there for 32 years and Jim Ryan for 30. So,
all right,
just throwing that out there.
It will also be interesting to see, because of one of the things that Jaffe did talk about, apparently, was that Herman Hulst, who wanted to get rid of all the Japanese studios, and the COO, which, I mean, this is not out of course, but the COO, I can't remember his name, but he is taking over. And I like I said, I can't remember his name, but obviously they've had a lot of folks from Sony Europe and Sony North America kind of leading the charge here in recent years. But I mean, this could be a turn to where they look back towards Sony Japan for leadership at the top.
And I'm also hearing.
They've got,
I'm sorry.
It's the COO of Sony coming down to be the interim for PlayStation. So, and he's Japanese.
And I'm hearing Herman Holst is basically reshuffling and pulling people that he worked with for years at Guerrilla over to main roles over at PlayStation. So I heard that he's trying to bring his people that he's worked with for the longest time over into the major roles. So,
well, it doesn't surprise me. He wants his people around him. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, can you justify that by kicking somebody that's worked there for 34 years and been behind so many games in Connie Booth, and kicking her out the door, which she's been very successful?
Well, again, if we're not going to talk about that till next week, let's not talk about it.
All right, well, I'm sorry.
She may be another casualty of the whole live service push.
Yeah. All right.
Or she could be a Bonnie Ross.
All right.
She's just.
So the topic we're going to skip is CG's Project Red are setting out to unionize. We're going to get into that next week because I think that's worth the conversation. But this topic I put in here for Saber says, or hear me out, she's Kathleen Kennedy. They finally have to get rid of.
No, she hasn't botched as much as Kathleen Kennedy.
All right, so I put this topic in here just for Darrell because Darrell, behind the scenes, and I think on the show a couple times, you've mentioned how you were interested in the detachable disk drive for the PlayStation 5 for the new model.
Mm-hmm.
So this is coming from InsiderGaming.com and written by Tom Henderson. It's been revealed that the new PlayStation 5 Slim will require an internet connection in order to connect its detachable disk drive. First posted by Call of Duty Twitter account Charlie Intel, the information was revealed on the back of the new PS5's box. Quote, internet connection required to pair disk drive and PS5 upon setup, it reads. As pointed out by Digital Foundry's John Lyman, the requirement also raised concerns about the longevity of the console and its requirements. An internet connection requirement means that the service will always be needed, which could be disabled at any point in the future. Internet gaming first reported on the PlayStation 5 with this detachable disk drive last year, and to our understanding, the internet requirement is fairly a new change. In testing, the internet connection was not required. This new PlayStation 5 will be launching in November and will be replacing all current models in the market. So after this one launches, after the current stock of PS5s is gone, you will not be able to buy the old ones. So now some points I want to point out here. It says upon setup. So I don't want to know. I don't think this is going to be like a constant. You have to be connected to the internet to use the hard drive. So I don't think that's the issue here. So because if that's the case, then you might as well just I don't know why.
Might as well be connected forever, always online.
You might as well just download all your games because you need an internet connection to play those games. So Alex, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on the detachable drive needing an internet connection? And then I do have some comments from Matt. I just got to find them in our threads.
I mean, I don't know why. Why would it need an internet connection? I understand, that our consoles are connected for many reasons. One being, firmware updates and stuff like that. So I don't know if every now and again it needs to be, software updates to the disk drive. But I mean, in regards to like an internet connection, are they validating anything? Like, what do you need to validate? Like, the reason you have a disk drive, like you put a Blu-ray into your Blu-ray player that has a disk drive, it doesn't need an internet connection to validate anything. It just plays a disc. So why does it need an internet connection on this piece of physical hardware you just put a disc into?
You have to have an internet connection to use the Blu-ray app the first time, though. Like, I found this out the hard way. PS4 was the same way.
Yes.
Xbox One was the same way. In order to use the app for the first time ever, you have to do an update. So it's probably something to do with the firmware. It's probably like they built the thing and there's a new firmware upgrade that's already like a day one patch, essentially, that's going to have to go out that has already come out post the initial run of hardware being created, and it's probably something stupid like that. Unfortunately, and I hate this with a burning passion, unfortunately, all of our things are required to have internet connection at least once, and we're getting to a point where nothing will be usable. Even the things that are meant to be used, away from the internet, nothing's going to be able to be used without the internet. We're going to be dependent on it for everything. Before you know it, our body parts will be cyberpunk style.
Matt did say in the chat, I found it says, makes me wonder if there's drivers it has to grab from the net to initialize the drive. If so, silly. They couldn't just include them in the OS. Can't think of another reason why the net connection would be required. So as you were talking, Darrell, my thought is possibly it needs to be connected because they need to do updates. If the driver is running too hot or too slow. I don't know why that ad keeps playing. I have to get that page. My thought is it's for firmware updates and to initialize the drivers and stuff. But as Matt says, that could have been just included in the OS. They didn't. You don't have to do that, constantly. So, all right. Any more conversation about this other than the 5, the Slim? I don't like the design with the split in the covers.
So I think it's cool. I'm disappointed on the way. I'm disappointed in the way it works. Like, I was really hoping it was going to, just plug into a USB-C and maybe rest on the console or connect to it and clip onto it, or maybe even sit tangentially beside it. I really didn't want a full console redesign where this thing has to work a certain way, because I wanted to be able to add one to my son's PS5, because we made the mistake of buying the digital one, trying to save a little bit of money, and constantly running into, oh man, we own that game physically. He wants to play Sekiro, but I don't own it digitally. And we went to go buy it the other day, and it was like, oh, it's $60 digitally, but we own the disc. Like, I'm not buying it again for $60. We'll just wait. And so, I don't know. I still buy the majority of my games physical. I have a whole side business selling video games, so like I buy as much physical as possible.
How could people see that?
Resident Darrell on YouTube. You can go follow my shenanigans where I hunt down video games and build a collection and flip some on the internet so I can continue to pay for the collection. But yeah, I was hoping that we would be able to just buy this and turn his digital console into a physical option. It doesn't look like that's the case, at least initially. Maybe third parties or somebody will come out with something that allows that to happen. I don't know. But yeah, I will not buy another digital only console. Again, if I can help it, because unfortunately that just does not work for us. That was a mistake on our part.
Average Geeks in the chat brought up a good point. If you guys don't know, Average Geeks is Riley. He says, my money is it's a backdoor for Sony to combat piracy if modders find a way to exploit the external drive. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. All right.
Honestly, I wish if they were going to redesign this console, it's way too tall. I don't have a problem with the weight of it. It is a hefty boy, but man, it's so fucking tall. Like, I have trouble fitting into spaces. So
this one's 30% smaller.
Yeah, it's shorter. It does, but the slim is. But I'll get a slim eventually, just because I've gotten all the versions of all the PlayStations over the years. I won't seek one out. Like, I bought the Spider-Man PS5 for my youngest son for Christmas, so we're PS5'd up. We have 3 of them in the house. I don't think my daughter is going to be in the market for a PS5 anytime soon. She's fine playing her PS4 occasionally. So, but when we do eventually have to get another one, I'll get one. But hopefully by then that'll be some kind of cool special edition version.
All right. You have anything more to say, Alex?
No, not really.
All right. At this time, we don't have any questions. Saber does have a question. What is the movie looking forward to seeing for December? His is Iron Claw, which I think is the one on the Von Erichs wrestling.
Zac Efron playing one of the Von Erich. Yeah, I mean that does sound. I do want to see that because obviously that family's history is fucking sad. So I'm sure it'll make for interesting viewing. I mean, I'm sure it'll be good. It's just it's a terrible story. So,
well, I got to take 4 teenagers to go see Five Nights at Freddy's tomorrow. So
it's on Peacock, man.
Yeah, but they want to watch it in the theaters, and it's Sweet Mama D's birthday, so she gets what she wants.
Not only that, but that like we watched it on Peacock last night, and it is totally worth the theater watch. That would have been a good one to see in the theaters. We took my kids to a haunted theater locally at one of the high schools. They have a performing arts theater, and so they did a Five Nights at Freddy's themed haunted theater. So we went and did that first, which was really good. I was very impressed with how they made it all work. And then we went home and fired up the movie, and it was great. We had a really good time.
Alex, any movie you're particularly looking for?
Honestly, I don't really know what is coming up. We don't really pay attention to. I mean, Transformers: Rise of the Beast was really the first movie that I paid attention to when it was coming to theaters. So honestly, I can't really tell you because I don't know, other than the Iron Claw, what else is coming out.
Was that any good? The Transformers?
I liked it. Yeah, I mean, look. Here's the thing, though.
That's all.
I love the Beast Wars. So the Maximals being involved in there, for me, like, it pumps it up quite a bit. So I have like some rose tinted glasses for it. I mean, a lot of people seem to like it. Is it better than the 2007 movie? To me, there's only an argument. Is it better than the 2007 movie? Because I do think it's better than Dark of the Moon. Dark of the Moon is one of those movies that I think has some really good scenes, but I don't want to watch the entire movie. I just want to watch certain scenes on YouTube. This movie I like to watch all the way through, although I will say that it's too short. I think it needed some more connective tissue because it feels like you get to the end a little too quickly. I mean, but overall, like, I love the Maximus involvement, so that's going to, be a big thumbs up on the scorecard for me. But I do think that it's either number 1 or number 2 as far as how good it is.
That's cool. I've enjoyed the majority of the Transformer movies. I think they're pretty good. I don't understand the hate on them. I mean, it's giant, cool looking Transformers breaking stuff and blowing stuff up. Like some of the day-to-day human drama stuff I can leave out or whatever. But I've watched I think I watched all of them at this point. But so overall, pretty good.
All right. At that point, we're gonna throw it to our topic of the week. This is coming from IGN, and this was an article posted by Yield in the Facebook group, Trophy Wars Facebook group. Sony has defended the price of PlayStation Plus Ryzen. This is written by Wesley Yinpool, coming from IGN. Last month, Sony raised the price of all its PlayStation Plus 12-month subscription globally across all tiers, roughly 30%. In a new interview, PlayStation's top business executive defended the decision, but insisted that the company had to, quote, adjust to marketing conditions, end quote. In September, Sony increased the price for 12 months of PlayStation Plus Essential from $60 to $80, Extra from $100 to $135, and Premium from $120 to $160. At the time, Sony issued a brief statement explaining the significant price hike as, quote, the price adjustment will enable us to bring you high-quality games and value-added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service, end quote. In a recent interview with Barron's, Sony Interactive Entertainment business chief Eric Lempel was asked to justify the price hike to consumers. Lempel responded to say Sony had no choice but to raise the price of PlayStation Plus. Quote, we want to make PlayStation Plus great. With our reboot last year and introducing the tier system, a lot of consumers have recognized there's a lot of value in PlayStation 5. Like practically everything else in the world, we have to look at our pricing and adjust to the market conditions. I'm happy to say, unlike a lot of other subscription services out there, we haven't touched the PlayStation Plus pricing for 85% of the world in many years, so this is the first time we did something there, end quote. It's also worth noting that the price hike came not long after Microsoft raised the prices of Game Pass, and other services of entertainment have raised the prices, including Apple TV, Apple Arcade, Disney Plus, and Netflix. Darrell, I'm going to go to you first because I'm going to have a conversation with you because we had a conversation over the phone about this, in which I, was defending my stance on this isn't a price increase. This is just a discount reduction, which I've gotten a lot of pushback from the other three hosts. So this is the first time, publicly we're talking about this. I don't look at this as a price increase. I look at this as a price reduction, but I know this is a PR answer, but this does make a lot of sense compared to everything else going on in the world.
Yeah. So, decrease, increase, reductions, all that stuff aside, it's a substantial change. And so someone who's been the day one PS Plus guy, I was day one PS Now. I've carried the premium membership since it was available. I am looking at it right now. Mine renews tomorrow.
Wow.
And I am, do I knock it to essential or not? Because truth be told, right now, I don't have the time to maximize my gameplay of the top tier. And like, value alone, like I think Gareth actually sent me a message the other day and he was like, dude, just like he pulled like 3 or 4 games like that he just recently beat. He's like, these are all extra or premium games. He goes, these games alone made it worth having that top tier. And for some people, that's probably the truth. For me, up to this point, it's been the case. I think that the premium tier is it's the best thing out there in gaming. I argue it's better than Game Pass. You get more higher quality games. And I've made that argument for years that like, guys, everyone talks about Game Pass, but like Metacritic score wise, you got better deals and more volume over here. I digress. But it's expensive. Everything is so expensive right now. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth it to you? Do you get the value of it? Or are you the type of person that you see it, you get sticker shock, and you can't process the value because the initial sting? Those are very real concepts, very real ways that people react to things. So for me, looking at the sticker shock, I'm like, man, I don't know that I need to spend that right now. I have to keep at least essential because my boys play online and I use cloud saving and we have multiple consoles. And the way we have it set up is I pay for Plus and my youngest son has the primary PS4. So and that's my primary and he can log in on there. He can use my Plus as under the family initiative or whatever. And then my oldest, he uses his PS5, but that's my primary. So he can log in and use it. And as long as I'm logged in on my PS5 as my name, all 3 of us can take advantage of having Plus, at least essential. So I have to keep it for that reason. My question to myself is, am I extracting enough value to get the $120 worth, which is now $160? And most years I would say yes. This year, going into next year, I don't know. There's a lot changing in our lives right now personally, a lot of things being added and the game time is being taken. So it's one of those things where I would say this, do I like it? No, I don't like any price increases. Whenever Sony comes out and says we had to, arm was twisted, we had to raise the price. Yeah, sure. I'm sure you had to raise it some, but good old franchise worldwide, I ain't going broke. Jimmy Ryan was like, hey, we're going to raise it more than just some
30%.
So love it or hate it, it exists. You just have to ask yourself, is it worth it to me? Or do you say, you know what, it's not worth it to me. I'm going to bump it down or I'm going to turn it off. And there's no wrong answer. We can argue on what works best for us and then apply that to everyone and say, this is what's best for you because it's best for me. But in the reality of things is we economically are in a hard time. We have things are more expensive. Inflation's out of control. And regardless how we got there, like we're there. So we have to make decisions every day on what's the best for us and our families. And I'm looking at it right now, like, do I just bump it down? Do I just pull the Band-Aid off, bump it down and just say, you know what, let's save that $80. Yes. So.
All right. So hard stance, price increase or discount reduction?
So we had this conversation before and it comes down to their verbiage. At the end of the day, because the monthly individual price didn't change, like it's not a price increase, because if you just paid per month, you're paying the same. But when you buy it on the discounted version for buying the whole year, then yes, it is in fact a discount reduction. And I say that as someone who works in the finance industry, that is in fact what it is called. But when they put their presser out or their blog post,
they said it was a price increase.
If they say it's an increase, we got to call it an increase. Whether that's how that verbiage works across different industries or not doesn't matter. If that's what they labeled it, that's what it is. So, but I mean,
I'm considering that a half win with Darrell.
Yeah, at the end of the day, money's money, man, and money talks. And right now, money's hard to get and it's hard to keep. It's harder to keep than it is to get. So, I hate all price increases.
All right, Alex, the floor is yours.
I think part of Sony's problem is how kind of cold and mechanical their responses have been. If they came out and said, here's the roadmap that we have for PlayStation Plus, even if they did just a state of play on that, and we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to bring more classic games to the service. We're going to try to get more games we're in talks with these companies to get more games. If they explained more what they were going to do with it, other than just them say, oh, we're going to, keep bringing high quality games. And then you look at month to month, the service doesn't change. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to play this game. I feel like that's part of the problem is Sony just being like, here's your corporate speak answer. And we're not going to give you more than that. And people aren't happy with that because there's no, we don't have any kind of guiding light showing us what this money's going towards and why it actually might be justified that they're raising the price. So a lack of information and a lack of transparency doesn't help Sony. I played a lot of games on PlayStation Plus Extra this year, but, I've downloaded Assassin's Creed Syndicate, so I think that after Alan Wake 2, I'm probably going to end out the year playing that game and maybe get the Platinum Trophy in that. But I'm actually going through the Extra catalog right now and struggling to find things to play. Not even it used to be like, oh, what has rare trophies so I can get, in the annual rarity event, pump up my score. No, I'm just looking for games to play now. And I'm struggling for things to play because I've basically run through everything I want to play. The premium catalog, they're not adding classic games enough, and there's not enough PS2 games on there. And some of the games we got more recently, one of them was, we talked about it, Soul Calibur 6, a more recent Soul Calibur game. So I think they've really missed the boat on the classics catalog. Sure, there's the Twisted Metal games, there's War of the Monsters, there's some games I enjoy playing on there, but for the most part, there's a ton of Ape Escape, there's tons of Siphon Filter, and that just doesn't really. When you hear the price is going to go up to another $40 per year, the games they're offering on the catalog and how often they update it just doesn't really work for me. They could do a lot better job with that classics catalog. And so for what I'm seeing now with the extras catalog drying up, even when they, update it once a month, and the premium catalog, really what you're paying for. I mean, yeah, you may try a trial here and there, but really you're paying for that classics catalog. That's what you want the access to. They're not updating that. So, going with what Darrell said, you have to decide, is it worth it for you? I'd say for me, no, it's not worth it. Neither premium nor extra are worth it for me. And I, at the very least, have to kick it down to essential, to just keep the cloud saving. And, that's for me personally, that's just what makes the most sense for me. Unless Tricky wants to buy me premium again, which Tricky, I would not advise you to do that. Because, again, I'm just not getting enough out of those services now, those extra tiers, to make it worth anyone's money to spend $160 a year on it.
It's too late, Alex.
Hey, I got a question for you guys.
Oh, before you question, I just want to go to the chat real quick.
I really hope you're joking, Tricky.
No, I'm not. Average Geek said,
oh my gosh, you will do anything for Sony.
Average Geek says they didn't go in dry, they used less lube. I guess.
That's really good.
And then Saber says, I agree with Tricky on this only because my hopes is that they will release a lot of Vita games for the 5. He would love to play Golden Odyssey on the 5. All right, Darrell, your question.
So here's my dilemma, right? I've put this thing off because, they said that the price decrease of the discount, increase of the price, whatever. So I'm looking at my subscription management and mine's renewing in at 12:01. Okay. So in 33 minutes.
Yes.
And my next payment is $119. So it's the old price.
I would do it then.
But if I change it, if I drop it down,
you have to pay $160.
Essential, it's $80. So I don't get the $60 old price. I only get the option of the
I'd pay,
120.
I'd pay the 120.
I'm doing it. I'm leaving it alone.
There you go.
I got me in for one more year.
I converted another one, Alex.
So Alex was saying earlier that like there's not a lot for him when he's looking around, and on that premium tier, I'm going to be the contrarian on this one. For me personally, that premium tier, like they've actually added more older games than I can play with the time that I have. I know that's not the case for everybody, but like adding the Siphon Filter games, I thought was really cool. Because I really enjoy those. I got the platinum in the first one. I hadn't finished the others yet. And there's like 4 more for me now. Dude, Pursuit Force is a banger. As a PSP game, an amazing game. Like, I don't know if you've ever played that one before, Alex, but if you are looking for something high action, stupid fun, dude, Pursuit Force is so good. And they added the sequel as well. That was really cool. I'm not an Ape Escape fan. I played the first one on there and I'm like, it's not for me, but it exists. And there's Intelligent Cube and the sequel to Intelligent Cube, or the spiritual successor, whatever it is. There's a bunch of cool stuff on there, and I have platinumed several of these PSP games specifically, but I really love PSP and I really love Vita, and those are PSP, PS Vita, and PS3 are the 3 systems that I collect for personally, like physical games, and I played the most of. So, like, I get that they're not tapping into their PS1, PS2 potential like they could be or should be, probably, but they skipped what I thought was going to be obvious. And they're like, oh, bro, here's PSP for Darrell. And I'm just like, God dog it, Jimmy Ryan, you did it again just when I thought I couldn't love you any more than I already do.
All right, so I'm going to say something, and I know it's going to sound like I'm defending Sony, but I get Alex's argument that there's not a lot of things for him to play, and they could do more with it. And I don't disagree with that, but you also can't just throw everything at once into the program, because you are going to need things for the future. Throwing out numbers, there's got to be 500 PlayStation 1 games. There's got to be $500-600 PS2 games. You can't just throw everything onto the system at once, because then you don't have anything for the future. And then you can have the argument of, well, why am I going to keep paying for this if there's nothing for me to play, because I've already played it all?
Yeah,
so
but if they throw everything on at once, there's no possible way you can play it. You're still going to have to take all the time to play that, and if they give you years of content up front, at least you know what you're paying for, because generally what has happened with these things is, oh, sure, they might start off strong, but years down the road, the support for this stuff kind of starts to dry up. Like, there's no possible way we're ever going to get all of the PS1, all of PS2, and all those kind of games on this service. It's just not possible. What I'm saying, though, is instead of giving us Soul Calibur 6, was it Tekken 6, or Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, sorry, I know it's a PSP game there, Darrell, but give us the original Soul Blade from the PS1
Maybe
days.
they can't get the licensing for it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm not in the boardrooms. I'm just saying there's got to be reasons why some of these games that people are really asking for are not coming out. Like, I know it's going to be a stupid argument, but some of the songs I want for Rock Band are never going to come because they can't get the masters for them.
Well, and here's the thing also you got to remember is that just because this stuff is on the service now doesn't mean it's always going to be on the service. So it may leave. So if you ask me, would I rather have the way they're doing it now or have them throw up everything they have so I know what I'm paying for? You throw me everything you have, and I'll just play it like a buffet for the next year or 2 years.
Average Geek says Sony has never understood how to come out swinging. All right.
I will say this, not as a Sony apologist, but like if you look at the patterns of these game companies when they're on top, they don't have to, therefore they don't. So like when Sony was losing to Xbox, that was like a very creative Sony. We were getting all kinds of wild indie games. We were getting some really amazing exclusive second party games, and Sony's first party was really coming out and just like swinging. But once once they became on top, then it was like, all right, we're going to dial it down on the indie stuff. We're going to dial it down on the second party stuff. And then we're going to really focus hard on the bread and butter stuff. And now here we are. And even with the PlayStation Plus and Premium and all that stuff, you know, I believe personally, granted, Sony was first to the dance with PlayStation Now opposed to Game Pass. Game Pass came out, did it better, got the mind share. And then Sony was like, well, now we have to combat this because we're losing in this area. So here's Plus, Premium, Essential, blah, blah, blah. And then now let's make sure that our volume is higher than the competitor, which it is. And our Metacritic, you know, score across the board is higher than the competitor, which it is. So it's kind of like they have classics. They have compared to their competitor, they have a vast library of games that we'll never, ever go through. So it's kind of like we'll get what they give us until they don't either A, don't have to give us anything, or B, the tide turns. And then they're like, okay, now Sony's hungry. Now Sony's got to win again. And then they'll get crazy with it. The fact that they just drip feed us some games, I'm sure it's not like they just close their eyes, grab a dart, and then all the games are in sticky notes all over the wall. And it's like whatever dart Jimmy Ryan hits, you know what I'm saying, is what we get. There's surely a plan to it. You know, there's surely a reason why we got what we got in the fashion we did. But I mean, you know,
I'll just say that I missed the old joke in Sony when they came out. And it was rumored the Xbox One was going to be, you know, you had to be online only. Yep, somebody came out and Jack Trent came out and goes, yeah, you can play our game online, offline. And then the kicker was in the same press conference. You had the video with Shuhei and Adam Boyce. Where he goes, this is how to share a game with your friend. That's it.
Yep. Well, again, you know, once Sony won and it was winning for so long consecutively, we got a different Sony. We got the business Sony. We got the money Sony. So I'm not saying I want to go back to losing, because God knows the only thing worse than paying Sony more money for stuff is a freaking Xbox fan gloating about winning. So, well, you know, I would much rather.
You have to let them win every so often, because otherwise, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and we need that. We need the competition. So I hope that Xbox gives them a run for their money so we get creative, fun Sony back. Or at least a taste of it, you know. I like the tug of war. But, you know, there won't be an Xbox after 2027, so.
All right. At this point, we're going to close out the show. Alex, do you want to say anything before we close out the show?
No, I mean, I pretty much said everything I want to say.
All right. Let's go to shout-outs. Darrell, we'll start with you. Make sure you plug all your YouTube and stuff like that so everybody knows how to find you.
Absolutely. I want to give a shout-out to Tricky for being my friend. Thank you for all these years of being a great dude, checking in on me when I get super crazy and I don't answer your phone calls. I promise you I'm not avoiding on purpose.
For 3 weeks on end.
Yeah. You've been very patient with me, and I appreciate that. No, shout out to you guys for allowing me to be here and, you know, helping with the schedule to make it to where I could come on and visit. So I do appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to my kiddos and our YouTube channel. It is Resident Darrell on YouTube, and it is where me and my children go around. We hunt for video games. We make silly YouTube videos about it, and we're building our video game collection. We are over halfway to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. If you're listening to this, if you made it this long, please go check out Resident Darrell. Consider a subscribe on YouTube, because when we get to 1,000, we are going to take all of the copies of Kinect Adventures that we've been purchasing, and we're going to take them to the shooting range. We're going to destroy them, making the copies that are still in existence more valuable. So we constantly run across Kinect Adventures. It's one of the cheapest games you'll find. It has absolutely no resale value. And so because of that, we decided we would pick them up, and then as we see them, we buy them, and we're going to destroy them. So, yeah, I don't have too much else going on anymore. I do have a podcast that I'm doing. We have landed the plane on the Loot Bros. In the words of the wise, late, great Taylor Swift, we are never, ever, ever getting back together.
We'll see in a couple of years.
Fun fact, we played that song at the farewell show for Ninja Loot, and then like 6 years later got back together. So who knows? But for now, the Loot Bros has landed the plane. But myself and one of my old co-hosts, Josh Adams, the artist for Legacy Comics, he and I are doing a Bible study podcast. Now, I know that's not for everybody, but as two guys that have worked in youth ministry for as long as we have, that is something where we can get together. Good Lord, I'm dying over here. And we dig into some fun lore in the old Bible. So some fun to do once a week.
As you said that Saber said in the chat, and just like that, I'm done. Alex, your shout out, sir.
Oh, give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire, this Trophy Horrors. As we get closer to episode 600, we could not have done it without you. So for everyone listening, whether you've been listening for hundreds of episodes, whether you just picked up on your first episode, we thank you very much for your continued support. You all are awesome. Give a shout out to Tricky and to Darrell for coming on and sacrificing their Saturday night. And, you know, Yield tried, but his internet got all crapped out. I think we all know that what happens in the Midwest. You sometimes get that crappy internet, and there's no way around it. But yeah, Yield will be back with us in another week. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley. I love you, hun. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna go try to maybe watch a scary movie before bed tonight.
All right, I'm gonna forego all my shout outs. You guys know I love you all, but I have to give a big shout out to Sweet Mama D, as Darrell's texting me back. We're supposed to be ending the show.
Give a shout out to 19 inches of Venom.
Yeah, I just texted him a picture of Venom statue that I got for Spider-Man 2. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who is turning 15 years old tomorrow and making me feel old. I can't believe I'm going to be a father of a 15-year-old. But she gets the lone shout out this week. So if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Later.
Animes for pervs.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.